Learn to be super successful. Subscribe to my channel, Meathead. If they spent that much time on their own deal, on their own life, but you don't. Now, we will break you down into groups and do all that stuff. And I asked him, how do I know which one to give which group? I said, they're all fucking the same. And then she says, because they have a little color thing on the end. And it's color-coded. But I looked at this last night under the influence of alcohol, I might add. And fuck, they all look the same to me. You know, fuck this. What are we going to do? But welcome to our fifth hardcore. And funny enough, 3.5 years ago, the way the hardcore started is it was Easter Sunday, and somebody said, Mr. Peña, do you realize today's Easter? Are we going to have anything special? I said, no, we're not going to have anything special. But I wonder if we gave a seminar on Christmas, if anybody'd come. I said, just somebody asked. Within 72 hours, we had, a lot of people. And so we developed a hardcore. And to say that the hardcore has been successful, it'd be an understatement. We're going to listen to two guys live, recent hardcore graduates, one from South Africa and one from Adelaide, Australia, of all places. And but since the last hardcore, Marcus Bauer is about to break my record of 22 deals in a year. He's already at, I believe, 23, and he'll probably have 24, 25, and that's humping. To say that's fucking humping, I mean, that is humping. Because I've done that 30 years ago. And but now, they're giving money away. Now, if he were standing here, he'd say it was hard, but it's not that hard. And so when you think about it, it's about 2 deals a month. And both Anelli and the guy from Adelaide, Jason Nagy, have done deals, good-sized deals, one in medical and one in building a conglomerate. And when he talks to you today at 2, he'll tell you. Most of you in this room still suffer from the cunt syndrome. That's why we played it, even though you've been to the seminar. Some of you have done deals, some of you have done more than one deal, etc. But down deep inside, irrespective of what you say, your DNA wants to be liked. And you would rather do a deal where they liked you as opposed to not like you. Now, I'm not sure I've ever done a deal with anybody fucking liked me. I was thinking about that this morning when I was brushing my teeth. No, they didn't like me. No, they didn't. Now, that may be somewhat of a stretch, but I certainly didn't go out of my way to be fucking liked. I certainly never went out of my way to fit in, which is pretty obvious now, but yet you still, and I say suffer from it. It's like for the guys that have ever had gonorrhea or the clap. They still have those diseases? I think so. But they got a quick cure, or they used to have a quick cure. I don't know if it's a quick cure anymore. It's still around and wanting to fit in. Now, at the regular seminar, although some of you haven't been to the seminar in a couple of years or more, when we talk about Steve Jobs, arguably the most iconic person in the last 50 years for sure, he was an asshole. And when we talk about Success Leaves Clues, everybody we talk about, all the icons, were pretty much assholes. And yet in this room, we don't even have one asshole, except me. I know some of you pretend to be assholes from time to time, but you're pretty decent people. I'm not saying you can't still be decent, but you got to tighten up. And once a couple of the mentees are in trouble in their deals, and it always comes when I don't have time to talk to them, or I don't have time to read their email. They know the seminar starts today. So I wake up this morning, there's 3 emails, and one of them's he's got half of a nostril above water, choking, and there's not much I can do to help him right now. Last night you saw Tesla, right? Now, I don't know if he was an asshole or not, but he was certainly iconic. And Albert Einstein said that he's the brightest guy, when Albert was still alive, on the planet. So if Albert Einstein said he's the brightest guy on the planet, he just might have been the brightest guy on the planet. Yet he died in poverty, without 2 nickels, which is a sad commentary. What commentary or takeaways about Mr. Tesla other than you're not him? And he did a smart thing. Although he said he thought that giving up the opposite sex and getting married and having kids might have been a bridge too far in hindsight when he was getting close to the end of his age. He said, maybe I should have had. I can tell him he made the right choice. I can tell him he made the right choice. Fucking having rugrats, rug crawlers. What about Tesla?
Constant innovation. He's always had this belief this will work. And so he never gave up on it. Made it work. And it's quite similar to Thomas Edison's 10% inspiration, 90% perspiration. The more I thought about that, the more I'm falling into that category. When I was asked at the Harvard Club back in 1993, going back, looking at your success, Mr. Peña, would you consider it balls or brains? I snapped back 50-50. Now, after teaching you meatheads for 26 years, I got to rephrase that or reframe it. It's probably 90% balls and 10% brains, my success. Going through some of the agendas for upcoming board meetings that I'm the chairman of, I mean, we're going over details. If we went over those fucking details and all the deals I've done, I certainly don't remember. I just don't. And I go, the deal's closed, right, Dan? Yeah. Did anybody ask that question? No. Did anybody ask that question? No. Did anybody ask? We had a Ivy League educated mentee who just went to the seminar the last 3 or 4 months that I'm the chairman of. I'm the second or third chairman because the other first 2 either quit. I wasn't in the room, but I think I'm the third. And he said that he anticipated the board meeting to be 6 hours long. I said, what the fuck are we going to talk about? On top of it, he planned it for 4 days from now, which I can't be there. What are we going to talk about for 6 hours? He says, maximum, it's going to be 2 hours. Maximum 2 hours. And that's if we get stuck. What else about Tesla?
It didn't seem to, well, obviously he didn't focus on money, because if he had been focused on money, he would have made a lot of money. He was a genius. But for him, it was all about the vision, and money seemed to be secondary.
Right now, these are October's numbers, and they were readjusted upwards. Most of the planet is not benefiting by the worldwide upsurge in the economy and all the things associated with it. A few of the people, based on the total population, are participating because they came here or they're reading my stuff free online. But if Mr. Trump, President Trump, was not going through this impeachment thing, the market would be at 30,000, easy. Easy peasy. Maybe 35,000, maybe 40,000. And when he wins again in a year, the market's going to go through the motherfucking roof. The roof, I mean, you can't imagine what's going to happen. Now, Manhattan real estate prices take the biggest tumble since financial crisis. This is last week. London house prices fall at the fastest rate in a decade. Am I the only motherfucker that reads this shit? You know why it's not published? Because it'll be a self-fulfilling prophecy. The 2 leading property markets on the planet are collapsing. And you're sitting there with your 401k or whatever the fuck you save your pennies in. Notwithstanding the bull market, there are telltale signs that it's over.
And property markets in the leading areas like London and Manhattan are two of the leading indicators. It's fucking over. But nobody's talking about it. But notwithstanding this, when this does happen, I mean, across the board, not just in the two prime areas for property, it's going to be better for us because people are going to be more motivated, more serious about being a seller. A seller. Now, Tesla didn't have to worry about that shit. He went in and begged money from J.P. Morgan, if I remember correctly, and then J.P. Morgan shut him off. Which I think in hindsight, the J.P. Morgan estate wishes maybe they didn't. And whether Tesla came up with all that stuff and is being talked to by aliens, or I don't know any of that. And whether Steve Jobs was talked to by the alien, I don't know that. All I know is I have not been talked to by aliens that I'm aware of. I might have. Some people say I'm an alien. And next year, in January, I'm going for special tests to find out just how human I am or am not. I'm going to one of the big medical centers for comprehensive tests. I had it done about 10, 11 years ago, Sally and I, and that's the famous one when they lost Sally's brain because they did the full scans and all this, and all her information came back except her brain. And I just laughed my ass off, but don't worry about it, there's nothing in there, and it's so small you couldn't find it, right? But we're going back to have those tests. And other than a 13th rib, which I do have, which is a Neanderthal, a throwback to Neanderthal, I have one extra rib, and my testosterone's off the charts, we're going to find out just how human or less than I am. Tesla obviously was not, it seems he wasn't human. But a lot of the icons don't seem that they were human. They don't. And maybe they weren't, but we're never going to know that unless they float down and show me some ID, I mean, they've got to prove it to me. You looked at a deal about alpha male yesterday, right? What's the bottom line of alpha male? Other than I'm probably the only one in the room, but other than that. But remember, 98% of all the people, successful people in the world are introverts. Introverts, just like most of you. A couple of you think you're not introverts, but let's just amuse me for right now. Let's just agree with me that you're an introvert. 2% are not introverts. They're extroverts. And 10% of those extroverts are psycho alpha males like me. Steve Ballmer if you remember the film, for those of you that saw that film when you were here, is that kind of personality. He's not the only one, but there's not very many. I believe that alpha males have been pounded down because of political correctness. Back in my dad's day, they call him oak male, O-A-K, oak tree. But as I've said before, I would never start coaching again because I underestimated by 1,000,000% how low self-esteem the average person has or doesn't have any self-esteem. And QLA, for me, was based on self-esteem. And that's why I say balls 90%, brains 10%. And it might even be 99.1. I like to give myself a little more credit than that. But it's easier today. And I'm not taking away from Marcus Bauer's breaking my record. But it's easier today because money is almost free. And when I was doing it, interest rates were 10, 12, 15, 16%. And for those of you that aren't numerate, at 15%, let's just say current interest rates are 5%, the deal's got to be roughly 3 times better. And most of the deals you have aren't. But nobody is standing on street corners. When you go to New York, we've had mentees to scare themselves lie naked on Madison and 56th. Didn't even get arrested in New York. We've had kids go into Starbucks in Chicago wearing a baby diaper. He got arrested. In Chicago, you wear a baby diaper to Starbucks, you get arrested. You can be naked on the streets in New York and nobody says anything. every time Sally and I go to New York, I expect somebody to be pounding on, how there's people singing songs and marching up and down the streets, talking about this. End of the world, Manhattan real estate, going in the toilet. Nobody. I'm probably the only seminar guy on the planet that even has a slide that says this. But if you go to Google, and you type in Manhattan real estate last year, there are going to be articles, not on the first page, but on the 10th or 12th page, that the real estate has gone down 6 quarters in a row. And the fact that it had been growing for 82 quarters, or some number like that, is indicative of where we're going. Anything else about Tesla, who I believe was probably the brightest guy around back in his day. Never finished his engineering degree, if I remember correctly. And anything else? Yes, sir.
Going back to the alpha male monkey, when you talk like you have a pair, people listen. When the guy spoke with authority, people did not step into his box.
Well, we had a little test this last seminar. Every question that was asked from the group to the live person on the screen, the person on the screen said, I didn't hear you. Because you didn't ask the question like you had a pair. They were all, 100% of the people that asked the question, the person in the screen couldn't hear him, and I didn't have to repeat it, but I repeated the question. I've never in my life been accused, Dan, I didn't hear you. Could you repeat that? Never. 74 years old. Never, not one fucking time. When I was in the military in boot camp, Peter, you guys said, well, other than you sorry-ass Mexican, the sorriest excuse for this man's, all that shit. Peanut, can't you be quiet? No, Sergeant Major. Are you making fun of me, Peanut? No, Sergeant Major. But I was never accused of not sounding off like you had a pair. In fact, there's a saying in the military, sound off like you have a pair. And for those of you that have taken the time to film yourself and your presentation skills, or the lack thereof, you will be horrified. You will be horrified. So those nuances and actual deals are what we're going to perfect in the next several days. Most of you, based on 4 prior hardcores, only really need to tighten up your skills. Because a lot of you are making the calls and doing what's necessary. But you've got to tighten up the skills, meaning you've got to practice more and be smoother. Any questions before? Let's see what else is. Oh, the Book of Dan. I wanted to show something here. Wait a minute. Now, as of a few weeks ago, the first Holy Family convent in Sri Lanka was blessed by the bishop, of which Sally and I are, supporters, paid for, not just us, a number of us paid for this new convent. Of all places to have a convent, Sri Lanka. And a lot of problems there in Sri Lanka, but Sally and I couldn't make it because it was in the middle of, I think, the September seminar. But these are part of the 240 that say that I'm on a rocket ship passing Elon and Branson on the way to Mars. I'll pass them on my way to heaven. Saint Teresa, we put our money on the bitch when she was just a nun. She, in the last 2,000 years, is the fastest to be a saint in the history of the Catholic Church. And she was a bitch. A ruthless bitch. Ruthless. Savage. She would do anything to justify getting money for her children. That was her justification. I just want you to get money for yourself. And indirectly, it'll be numbers that I can put on the board. But these are the part of that are, look how sincere they look. I would have added to that picture. I'm about a foot taller than anybody in the room, but Let's see. Cometh the hour, cometh the man. That's why you're here. YouTube, we'll see you later.